TikTok is not helpful to me right now. Well, we'll just call her Mish, and I don't know.
This is no different than normal, right? I mess up people's names all the
Honestly,
time.
yeah, it's perfect. We'll just use the excuse that we don't listen to the audiobook, so we don't know.
Okay, give it a try.
Okay, welcome to a podcast of fantasy and romance, or as we like to lovingly call ourselves, Apifar. We're your hosts, Ashley.
And Anna.
Explore epic tales of fantasy and romance in your favorite books. We will bring you a wide range of book club books by highlighting indie authors and, yes, covering your favorite big releases. We will discuss the worlds, characters, stakes, and relationships that they created, while adding our breakdown and theories as well. Normally, we would have war games at the end of our episode, but today we will be skipping that segment since this is a review episode. A couple of housekeeping things before we dive in.
First off, this is our spoiler warning. For this episode, it will contain spoilers for the Crowns of Nyaxia series, books 1 through 3. It does not contain spoilers for The Fallen and The Kiss of Dusk, which is the newest book that's been released. If you haven't finished the first 3 books yet, this is where you should push pause, come back, and have a listen.
Second, this podcast has an explicit rating. We will be discussing mature themes and we cuss a little. So if you're not ready for your kids to go to school and talk about put your hands on the headboard or how many spicy things can happen on a throne, then this would be a good time to pop on some headphones. Here we go. Apifar Book Club is now in session. So today we are going to be doing a review episode on the Crowns of Nyaxia series, books 1 through 3, so just the main books in the series, before the new release. So first I'm going to do World Building Wonders, where we break down the worlds created so that they are easier to understand. So for the Crowns of Nyaxia world, I feel like it's important to know that Nyaxia is an exiled goddess, and she is the mother of the vampires, and her husband was Alaris, who was the god of death and is now deceased, presumably. So Nyaxia, and he is cut into pieces. That's important to know.
It is.
Okay. Well, it is for book 2. Okay. Nyaxia lords over the domain of night, shadow, and blood. So those are going to be the 3 houses of the vampires, which we'll get to in just a minute. And then she also inherited the domain of death from her dead husband. So she was a lesser goddess who fell in love with Alaris, and she married him, even though it was forbidden because she was a lesser god, and so he wasn't supposed to marry her because she was a lesser god. So it was forbidden.
Rude.
You're shaking your head. Oh, I thought maybe you were like, that is not right.
No, it's a very classist system. I don't like it.
It is. These dumb gods. When Alaris was murdered by the White Pantheon, which is a group of the main not lesser gods, also we'll get to that in a minute, he was murdered because they were punishing him for marrying Nyaxia. But Nyaxia, after that, broke free from the White Pantheon in a fit of rage and offered her supporters the gift of immortality in the form of vampirism. So she founded the Obatrace and the Vampire Kingdoms. Okay, so first, the White Pantheon. That is the 12 gods of the core canon, including Alaris, who is presumed deceased. The White Pantheon is worshipped by all humans, with certain regions potentially having favor toward specific gods within the pantheon. Nyaxia is not a member of the White Pantheon and is actively hostile to them. The White Pantheon imprisoned and later executed Alaris, the god of death, as punishment for his unlawful marriage with Nyaxia. So the Obatrace consists of 3 kingdoms: the House of Night, the House of Shadow, and the House of Blood. The House of Blood is one of the 3 vampire kingdoms of the Obatrace, and vampires from the House of Blood are called Bloodborne, and they managed to piss off Nyaxia, so right now they are looked down on as like the lesser house of the vampires. Another of the 3 vampire kingdom is called the House of Night, and they are known for their skill in battle and for their vicious natures. They're wielders of magic derived from the night sky. There are 2 clans of Nightborn vampires, Hyaj and Rishan, who have fought for thousands of years over who's going to rule. So those of the House of Night are called Nightborn. And then the House of Shadow is the last of the 3 vampire kingdoms, and it's known for their commitment to knowledge. They're wielders of mind magic, shadow magic, and necromancy. Those of the House of Shadow are called Shadowborn. And so the new release is going to be the second book in the House of Shadow duet, The Descent. So this is, I thought we would cover The Descent because that is what The Songbird in the Heart of Stone. So book 3 in the Nyaxia series is that the descent is like the whole storyline basically. And so I think I'm not sure what book 4 has in store for us, but I'm sure we'll at least call back to that book. So the descent is the transitionary realm in between the mortal world and the underworld. It consists of 5 sanctums that a soul must travel through to reach true death: body, breath, psyche, secrets, and soul. And the descent was created by Alaris before he was murdered. And now it's kind of breaking apart and suffering from neglect. And so, it makes it a little bit dicier to travel through. That mostly came straight from Carissa Broadbent's, the author, website. She has a lot of information on there. You can go check it out. That's my little source so that I did not plagiarize because I told you that. Okay.
Now we're going to do chapter chats. This is where we review and summarize the book for you and give our take on the thrilling event. So, chapter chats for the first one. The first book is called The Serpent and the Wings of Night, probably the one that you see on TikTok all the time. So, in the story, we have a world of humans and vampires. And in this world, vampires are not necessarily just made, they can be born. The vampire king of the city is Vincent, and he is a night-born vampire. Vincent adopted her FMC when she was a little human orphan girl after she bites him. Her name is Aurea, and she has spent her childhood living in the palace of the vampire court, training with her father, aka Vincent, to protect herself from other vampires feeding on her because she's still human. As she starts to grow up and become a young woman of her own, she uses her training and her magic abilities to sneak out at night and protect the other humans living in the city. So, the goddess of death and vampires, Nyaxia, hosts a competition called the Kajari every 100 years, with the victor being prized with a wish of whatever they desire. Her vampire father, Victor, won the last competition and has been training her for this moment. Vincent took power of the kingdom when he won. That was his wish. He took the power from the other vampire house away and then killed basically all their heirs, or so we think. Aurea plans on entering the competition so that the goddess will grant her powers to be bound to Vincent, so she will never have to fear another vampire again. So maybe you're asking, and I definitely was asking, why doesn't Vincent just turn her into a vampire? But apparently this is a very dangerous process, and there's no guarantee that she would live. It would most likely kill her or just not work. So hence why she's going to ask to be bonded to Vincent, a powerful vampire. Aurea joins the trials, and on the very first night, her friend is killed by vampires in the competition who got hungry, wanted a human snack, and killed her friend. In retaliation, Aurea kills one of the vampires and escapes into the greenhouse where the vampires don't want to go because of the sun during the day. She is required to live in this fortress with the other competitors until the trials are complete. The first trial happens, and the competitors are divided into groups and then attacked by demons. Aurea gets hurt, and another vampire named Rain, that's right. Aurea gets hurt, and another vampire named
It's literally the water that falls from the sky.
I know. Okay, so Aurea gets hurt.
You got it.
And another vampire named Rain helps her. And this is going to be our MMC for this book. Aurea uses her brain to figure out how to kill the demons. Vincent meets Aurea at night during the trials to give her healing potions at times. Rain asks Aurea to form an alliance. After being stupid and stubborn, she realizes she does need help and ends up in Rain and Mishi.
Mishi. I don't know if that even could be right, but we're going to say Mish.
Mishi's camp. Mish's camp. Yeah. She ends up in their camp in a room in this compound. Anyway, so Vincent doesn't like this. He doesn't want her alliancing with any other vampires. So now Mish is Rain's friend who has been with him for years and who is a vampire that we later get her story in book 3, which we've kind of already covered. That book is called The Songbird in the Heart of Stone. Okay, so Rain wants Aurea to practice with him so they can learn how to work like a team, but they have a hard time working together because, trust and stuff. The second event happens, and of course there is a maze. There always is a maze in these things. Rain finds out that Aurea kills vampires in her spare time. Okay, apparently I didn't think the second event was that special because that's all I got. So
that's okay.
Yeah. So
oh, it was.
The second trial was a maze, and she survived
a
it.
maze.
Yeah. So she survived it, and then later on, Rain finds out that Aurea kills vampires in her spare time when they attack humans, and he joins her on the cause. It's kind of like been her weekly, nightly mission for years now. Rain introduces her to a human pub that he frequents. The Moon Palace, where all the trials and competitors stay, gets attacked by demons. This is a problem because Mish gets severely injured, but they will not let her leave the competition, even though she's kind of dying outside of the trials. So Aurea goes to the Ministar, one of the old leaders of the competition, and offers her blood in exchange for Mish's release from the trials. I remember thinking this was really creepy, that this guy was just like old and kind of like a perv, and he just
Yeah,
like,
it seemed very
it
pervy.
seemed very pervy. He like drank her blood, and he was extremely sus about it because he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is the best blood ever," but he's a vampire. He drinks blood all the time, which we later learn is because she's special. Anyway, she offers the blood, and Mish is released from the trials, and she ends up going to stay on a farm outside of the city to heal. Vishen blames the Rishan rebels for the attack and basically says he's going to start a war and revenge. Rain is from Rishan, so he gets taken for questioning. But Aurea doesn't like this because she started to develop feelings for him. She tells the king to return Rain. Rain is injured from his questioning due to torture and is unable to use his wings for a while, which I forgot to mention. So some vampires have wings, not all of them, but some,
Wings.
and he does, and now he can't use them for a while. We learn that Mish was a priestess, but her god abandoned her and the power she was granted from them. The next trial event starts, and Rain and Aurea have their minds merged. They have to work together to perform and fight through the task. Okay, they survive. That's great. Vincent is acting weird and distant from Aurea. We meet another faction of vampires called the House of Blood, and one of their leaders is named Septimus, and he's a bit of a dick.
Okay, I do have an interjection here. I don't know if it's Six Scorched Roses. But anyway, either the novella or the standalone, I think, goes more into Septimus's story. And I have gotten the feeling just from comments I've seen that like he is liked. So he might be better than we think, but we don't have that knowledge because we didn't read those yet. So
Oh yeah, I
anyway,
was about to say,
just a side note.
yeah,
Not yet, but they're on my list. But my list is super long.
yeah, mine too.
So he
But
could be.
so he could be a good guy. But like when I say he's a bit of a dick, he's like,
Oh yeah, he like in a purposeful way. Like
yeah,
that's his human. That's yeah, his personality.
yeah, he's
Yeah, I
yeah.
got you. He
I
is.
want to say he's kind of like Draco Malfoy, but it's not quite that bad. It's not quite. It's just a dick. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's fine. You guys get it.
That's
You get it.
fine. It's totally
Okay.
fine. Okay, so Rain takes Aurea to see Mish, where she's healing on the outskirts. Once they are back at the Moon Palace, everyone is locked inside and starved. So all these vampires are in this place with only one human hanging out, which is their food source. So that's great. Aurea no longer feels safe because Rain is starving, and since he hasn't been fed, he ends up leaving their rooms. The next event happens where all the vampires are in bloodlust and they're all in the woods surrounded by animals that are poisoned. Aurea rushes to find Rain and snaps him out of his bloodlust and warns him. She lets him drink from her to give him sustenance so he's out of the bloodlust, and they survive the task. Vincent is at war, and his army has killed all the humans in Saline. Aurea confronts Vincent about this, and she realizes that he doesn't really care about human life. The final trial happens, and it comes down to Rain and Aurea, and only one can live. So basically, Rain lets Aurea win, and he ends up dying. But when Aurea realizes that she loves him, and when the goddess Nyaxia appears to her to give her her prize, why are you looking like that?
I'm just reading. I'm like I'm just reading the lines, but I don't know why I'm squinting so hard.
Okay.
I don't need glasses. It's fine. Okay.
All right. So Naxia is going to give her a prize of whatever she chooses. So this is when she's supposed to ask to be bonded to Vincent so she can be immortal and strong like he is. But because she's in love, she decides to ask Naxia to wish Rain to have won the competition instead. Which I don't understand why she didn't just wish him back alive instead of him winning. I don't know. But anyway, so she wishes him to win. And you would think, oh, yay, I love you. And that's great. And so he would wish something like, I wish she had, use her wish that she wanted to. No, he doesn't wish that. He wishes that the power of the Rishan Nightborn King becomes unsealed and restored to the Rishan heir, which is, of course, him. So, shocker, Rain gets his powers back, and they were stolen from his bloodline, aka Vincent, when he kills all of the previous kings and bloodline. Does that make sense?
It was just when he killed Vincent, right?
Well, Vincent, like I said before, Vincent killed the previous ruler's heirs,
Okay.
right? And so he thought that
Okay,
he
yeah,
killed all of them, but Rain is the one that is actually still alive from that. So
right.
he gets those powers
Okay,
back, and then in vengeance, he kills Vincent.
right. Okay, yes.
Aurea is Vincent's heir. So now she has the power over the Nightborn army. And the Retian vampires try to attack her, but Rain, because he does actually love her, stops them and says that he will make her his bride, of course. Aurea is betrayed and furious, as she should be, because the man she loved killed her father and took the kingdom from her. And there's some issues there that they need to get through. She's taken back to her old room in the castle. We learn that Aurea is actually half vampire and is most likely the actual daughter of Vincent. Rain and Aurea get married. Rain admits that he has made a deal with Septimus that his competitors in the competition would spare Aurea's life in the final trial. So he is working behind the scenes to keep her safe, which is supposed to make us like, oh, and less mad at him, but I'm still mad at him at this point.
Anna, it takes a little while to forgive if she ever does.
Listen, that is
These
not a good
characters.
excuse. He killed her father and took her kingdom away from her.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you earn Anna's forgiveness in these books, you're doing something right.
Yeah, you're doing something right. He hasn't earned
Yeah.
it, and I don't know if he earned it in the second book either. I don't
I don't
know.
know, because you're a little salty about him.
I
I
am.
get it.
I
Yeah.
am salty. I'm a salty person. I like salt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so Araya is still pissed, and she's locked in her rooms. And the general of the army that Araya now commands shows up to save Araya, but she sends her away and tells her to flee and prepare for the army to figure out a plan of what to do to gain power back. Anyway, and so that's the end of the first book.
Okay, so now we're going to go over book 2, which is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. So the beginning of the story starts with a flashback of Rain being a shipwrecked human and is approached by the current vampire king at the time, Neculi, and he begs to be saved. So Neculi turns him into a vampire, and Rain is then enslaved by him for 70 years. So then we're back on the present. Rain is adjusting to his new crown, stolen crown, and is working on getting the nobles on his side. He has made his friends his advisors, and he has allied with Septimus because Septimus has a large army. Aurea continues to be locked in a room, but she finds a way to escape to her father's old office, and she finds a way to communicate with her general so that they can figure out a plan. Septimus wants Aurea to help find what's left of the god of death, which we know is Alaris, and that was Nyaxia's husband. So they want to find what's left of him because, as Anna mentioned in the world building, he has been cut up into little pieces and sent all over. And Vincent is the one who hid those. So Septimus wants to find these so he can gain the power of what's left of those pieces, because that pieces of the god contains lots of power. Rain wants Aurea to help him betray Septimus. So there's lots of stuff going on here. Okay, Mish is assigned as Aurea's bodyguard, which is great because Mish is the best. They decide to go to Vincent's homeland to see if they can get any clues on where Vincent might have hidden the god's remains. We learn more about how shitty Vincent was. Not only was he a horrible and unloving dad, but he also killed his family to prevent them from overthrowing his rule. His niece is the only living relative left, and she is wacky. She has vampire children as slaves, dark. We learn that Aurea can now summon wings. Did you ever find out why, or do we just not care about that?
I think it's just emotional toil.
Okay. They search a nearby deserted city, and Aurea finds wings that are fixed on a wall on a tower. Aurea's blood reveals a moon pendant, and that's important because, okay, this is going to come back in a minute. In order to gain support from the nobles, Aurea and Rain host a wedding reception. But during it, Rain becomes drugged and is taken by Septimus's people. Slimy, traitorous bastard. Septimus has decided to help the old king's cousin take the throne from Rain.
And then
Aurea.
I have an interjection.
Yes.
Because this
Let's
is
hear
the
it.
same party, I think. Is this the same party that Mish kills?
Yes.
Mish was turned into a vampire. And that vampire is at this reception. And she kills him. She unalives him, rightfully so.
Mish unalives him.
So
Good
that
job,
comes into the next book. But that's the same party.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Yes, this is the same party that Rain is also drugged and kidnapped. So, of course, Aurea is the one to save Rain, because come on, these men don't know what they're doing. So, we find a letter from Aurea's mother to her sister and a necklace. Aurea's mother met Vincent when Vincent was looking for seers to harness Alaris's powers. So Vincent fell in love with her mother as they worked together. Aurea receives more jewelry that was from her mom, and with all of them combined, they create a map to the god blood that they have been looking for. The duo free their friends, so the duo being Aurea and Rain, and they head out to meet Jessamine, which is the general of Aurea's army. The Hiaj and Rishon forces work together with humans. So they don't usually like humans, they're not really friendly, but they're going to work together now to fight against Septimus's army. So Simon, who Septimus is trying to get in power instead of Rain, is now very powerful because they have embedded the god's teeth into his chest. So Alaris's teeth are now in Simon's chest. Aurea goes to the palace on the map, and while all of the armies are fighting each other, she is having flashbacks of memories that her father had. And so she goes through all those memories that are about like her father and mother, and then she obtains the blood of the god. Right before Rain is about to be killed by Simon, so back out in the fighting, Rain is not doing so hot, and he's about to get killed by Simon. But Aurea calls Nyaxia down and offers her Alaris's blood in exchange for a soul bond between her and Rain. So that would save Rain because he would be bonded to Aurea, and so he wouldn't die. But Nyaxia refuses because she likes the vampire houses fighting. She's kind of, a little dark and twisted. And she kills Simon, though, because Simon has her husband's teeth in his chest, and she's not too fond of that. So when Nyaxia refuses, Aurea calls upon another goddess. This girl has some ovaries of steel on her. Acacia. So Acacia is the other goddess that she calls down, and she asks for the bond from Acacia. So Acacia agrees, but warns her that Nyaxia is going to be pissed. With the god blood, everyone is all friendly now, and Rain and Aurea become king and queen of the realm. And Mish decides that she's going to leave to get her life together. And so that is kind of setting us up for the next duet. So that is the end of the first duet, the Nightborn duet, right? Or
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The Nightborn duet is Aurea and Rain's duet, and now it is over.
I think Acacia is the goddess of love. I think that's why she called out to her.
Is it?
I think so.
It could be. I just don't remember. But I know it is listed. Guess where? On Carissa Broadbent's website. And
That's so handy.
Let me go look real quick. Although I don't know why it always storms when we're recording these, but it does at my house. And so my service is like so wonderful. She has it very nicely organized. Okay, so this says Acacia is the goddess of spell casting, fate, and lost things.
Damn.
None of those say love.
Damn it.
Fate, though, but fate is super cool. So she's the goddess of fate.
Okay. So,
Okay.
rewind. I think that goddess is the goddess of fate.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so on to the next duo. Okay. The next book is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. We have a different MMC and a different FMC in this book. This book is written from the point of view of Mish after she leaves Rain and Aurea with their kingdom to run. We learn about Mish's past, of how she has changed into a vampire and her life as a priest before her turning. Mish was born a human girl and had an older sister that took care of her. The sisters one day visited the temple of the sun god, Atraxis, and Mish was blessed by the Atraxis to be a chosen one. He blessed Mish with powers and starts working as a priestess in the temple as she grows up. Basically, this starts the montage of her growing up interacting with Atraxis and her loving him and worshiping him, and her being treated special by all the other priestess. When she gets to be more of appropriate age, she is then given to Atraxis for his pleasure, which, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, we have a lot of problems with that.
No. Anyway, so...
What is this? The Handmaid's Tale?
Right?
Anyways,
So,
go on.
her sister, Seisha, also worked with the temple, basically as an assassin that killed vampires. One day, Mish has the idea that maybe some of the vampires are good and can be saved and become a part of the sun god's worshippers. Because that makes sense, considering they hate the sun. Whatever.
Yeah.
So now enters the chat is Malik, who is a vampire she meets at the beginning of her quest. And he, of course, turns into a vampire. Okay, so now she's a vampire. And after the incident, Atraxis gets mad at her and becomes fickle. And he gives her powers, but of course her powers causes her to be burned all over her body. so she's kind of covered in scars. Misha's been traveling the realms and is caught in the King Raoul's Shadowborn vampire kingdom by the sister of the vampire prince she kills, Malik, in the last book at the party. Okay, so she's saved from being executed by the bastard Shadowborn prince, Asar. Asar says that Mish is needed for plans he has for the underworld. He is our shadow daddy and has been given a mission from the goddess of the vampires, Nyaxia. Asar takes her to the prison of Morthrin and uses Malik's powers to perform necromancy to bring back another priestess of the sun god. The plan is for Asar to take Mish Chandra, who is the priestess he just revived, and Elias, which is a guard that was forced upon him by his sister, and a spirit dog named Lucy, which I love, super cute, into the underworld to resurrect Naxia's lover, the god Alars, who we've been hearing about for over 2 books now. Atraxis comes to Mish in a dream prior to them leaving and basically is like, I'll forgive you for being a vampire, even though it wasn't her fault, if you help resurrect Alaris, but then kill him when he's vulnerable at the very beginning. We later learn that all the gods basically have a communal amount of power, and that Atraxis wants Alaris killed so he can claim that power. Okay, so the group starts their trip through the 5 sanctums of the underworld. Each sanctum has a relic that is hidden that will be needed for the resurrection. As they travel the underworld, Mish and Asar become friendly and go to respect each other. They use the Morthrin prison as a gateway between realms, and we learn that the wards surrounding their safe haven have been falling apart and worsening as they travel further down. I remember him describing it as like a root system that just basically disintegrates the farther down you get in the underworld. So Mish helps Asar close the gateways where all these souls keep following them and trying to kill them because they're confused because they're dead. Anyway, so she helps him close the gateways, and that's kind of like part of their bonding thing that they're doing. We learn through her being sired by a Shadowborn vampire. She has powers from them, and she has great potential of using those powers. As they continue down, we learn that she knows 2 of the ravaged souls that have been following them. Asar helps the soul of Mish's childhood friend find peace and pass over, but also spends time helping Mish use her shadow powers. Another soul they meet is a woman named Ophelia, who is a previous lover of Asar, and Asar has tried for years to bring Ophelia back to life, but she has gone insane and is into her villain era, and she is on the revenge path to kill and, I don't know, ruin all of Sar's plans. Asar is heartbroken and feels guilty about his role in her craziness. Ophelia follows through the sanctums and tries to kill them. At the end, Mish is able to help Ophelia find peace and move on. When they reach the Sanctum of Psyche, Asar receives a air marker because he is next in line for the throne of this vampire shadow people. And this is when we learn that his bastard of his sister had sent this Elias guy that he didn't want to go down into the pits of hell with him. But she sends Elias to try to kill Asar after he gets this air mark. So his sister was trying to get the throne basically from him. So Elias stabs Asar and pushes him off a cliff, and this is for Ygritte, his sister, to be the next in line for the throne. Mish refuses to come with Elias and jumps after Asar in an attempt to save him, because what's she gonna do? Chandra tries to convince Mish to return to the surface, but while they're talking, they get attacked by wraiths. She had to decide to save Asar or Chandra, but she learns from the memories that she is forced to see during this kind of whole ordeal that Chandra is responsible for killing helpless vampire babies in the name of Atraxis. So, bye bitch. And Mish is gone to save her man, Asar. They continue their journey alone. Well, kind of alone. We still have Lucy that they're traveling with. But they go through the underworld and into the next sanctum. They become closer and given to their desires for each other, which pisses off Mish God. The 4th...
I feel like interjection. It's ridiculous. Obviously, I mean, to put out the obvious that that's ridiculous because he sucks. And Asar actually loves her. So she didn't want to have sex with you, Atraxis.
No.
Get out of here.
Atraxis is basically a piece of shit.
Yeah, he really is.
There's nothing good about this god, basically. Okay, so they get together. They're getting close to the end. The 4th relic they obtain for the ritual is an arrow capable of killing a dog. A god, not a dog. Please don't kill a dog.
No.
Atraxis reaches out to Mish in a dream and tells her to kill Alaris with the arrow. Mish becomes bold and says that she will do that only if Atraxis promises to save the soul of her dead sister, who she killed years and years ago, and to give back her sister the mortal life, and to spare Asar.
And I think she killed her sister like right when she was turned into a vampire, like during that bloodlust stage we all know that vampires have. So
yes,
she gets a pass. I'm gonna give her a pass.
I'll give her a pass too. They come to the last sanctum, and at the end of the line, they come to the last sanctum when Asar says that Mish will have to complete the ritual herself, as Asar is going to be the sacrifice needed to bring the god back. He is part of the items of the ritual that's needed, because he is a descendant of Alaris and carries a portion of his soul. So the soul is part of what they need. But because Mish has fallen in love with Asar, as he's dying, she clings to his soul during the ritual, which causes the power of Alaris to be given to Asar instead. Atraxis is already there to witness the defeat of Alaris when all this goes wrong, and he's pissed. And Mish is pissed because, one, he isn't going to protect her lover, and two, she learns of his plan to steal all the power for himself. She stabs him with the golden arrow instead. In Atraxis' rage, he sets them on fire so that Mish will also die. Atraxis dies, R.I.P. Not really. Mish is barely alive, and from her point of view, we see that the other gods from the White Pantheon arrive and take a star and chain him up. The other gods kill her, and then we see her wake in the underworld where she meets Vincent, Aurea's dead vampire father that we learned in book 1. And he tells her that they have work to do. Asar is then seen in captivity, and he tells himself that he will find Mish again, and they will get revenge on the gods that killed her. And end of the books.
Yeah, that's all we have before book 4.
Yes.
So good job, Anna.
Good job yourself.
What do you think her and Vincent are gonna do? Like he said, we have a lot of work to do. What is their work?
I don't know, but by this time, I have basically forgiven Vincent. So I haven't
More than Rain?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just liked that he was there at the underworld, and he was like, "We got work to do." I liked it.
Yeah,
It seems
I
very
wonder what
badass.
their work is. It does. And I think it's a nice little thing. I just wonder, like, obviously it's something to get Mish out of the underworld, I'm assuming. I hope. And Asar free from the other gods. Yeah? You think it has to do with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then just going back to the first duet, I did forgive Rain because Araya literally made him like beg. And he did. And so
We like
just
him back.
yeah, he better crawl. That's what we usually say to each other. If he doesn't crawl, we are not forgiving him. So Rain did
Apparently,
crawl.
he didn't crawl well enough for me.
But not for Anna, but for me he did. Okay, she's not much into the second chance romance. Does that mean you are?
It depends on the story, I think.
Depends on the mood.
It depends on my mood. Absolutely.
Asar and Mish, I love their little story better than Ray and Rain, even though I did forgive Rain, because Asar is, Carissa even calls him a simp for Mish, and I love it. I love the simp. So I am excited to find out what happens in their story.
I agree. I liked the Mish and Asar's book better. I like Asar better as a MMC, and I like a good "I'm gonna teach you" moment. So I like
love the training montage.
I love the training montage. I love when women are empowered. So
yeah,
and he empowers her.
That's a good way to put it. I feel like I had something to say about him, but I totally forgot what it was.
I also thought it was a pretty good slow burn too.
It was a good slow burn. And for some reason that reminded me, I know we talked about this when we read the book. You liked that he, and me too, that he's not like perfect. I think a lot of Carissa's characters are not. They have something, like they're not perfect.
Yeah.
They have scars. He has like that huge scar over like one side of his whole face and body.
I thought you were just ending on hole. I was like, what hole?
Which hole? No. Okay. Anyways. But yeah, so in like fan character art, you can see that big, like, it looks like a lightning strike to me.
Yeah. I think it's good symmetry that he has that scar and her whole entire body is scarred from her burns. I think it's got good symmetry, and it's like it's got the whole scars are beautiful kind of thing going on. I like that.
Definitely. Okay. Next, we'll do our serials tea time, where we cover our favorite characters, quotes, themes, scenes, etc. This is going to be an abbreviated version, which is probably good. I didn't have time to write down the whole book for a quote. So, my favorite character is Mish. Out of the whole Crowns of Nyaxia series so far for me is Mish. I just love she's like a bright light. She's just like that friend you wish you had. She's just such a good person. So it's really sad what she has gone through with Atraxis, because like she, not that anyone deserves it, but she definitely doesn't deserve it. So her story makes me sad, but I'm glad that she found Asar because she deserves that kind of love from someone. So she's my favorite character, closely followed by Lucy or Luce. I have no idea, but we're gonna go with Lucy. So then my favorite quote, I only wrote down quotes from the last book. So this is from The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. And this is Asar talking to Mish. I'll tell you what you'll have if you lose the sun, Mish. You'll have a soul gentler than any vampire I've ever known. You'll have an incredible magic and the skill to wield it better than the bastard who gave it to you. You'll have a soft heart and a sharp wit and the wisdom to know when to use one or the other. You'll have countless inane questions and horrible taste in food and a penchant for making lost souls love you. I couldn't breathe. He leaned closer until his forehead touched mine. And if you'll take it, Mish, Ilie, you will have me too. Love him.
So
good.
cute.
Yes. And then this is from Mish. I really liked this quote from her. She says, do you think that I don't know what darkness is? Why? Because I smile too much? Because I talk too much? It's my choice to be the way that I am. A choice that I make even when it's hard. That doesn't make me weak, Asar. So this is like before he admits that he's a simp for her. And he's like kind of giving her trouble for being like such a bright light all the time. And I really like this response because it doesn't make you weak that you have joy, and that even if the world is terrible or you're tortured, that you find a reason to have joy and still are choosing that. You do have to choose it a lot of times. And so I like that about Mish. So those are my favorite quotes. I didn't pick any from the first part, from the first duet. But yeah. So
I like it. I like it a lot. My favorite character is also Mish. Like you said, I think she's just a good person. I like that I think it's beautiful that she's a vampire, but she sticks with what she dedicated to her like when she was younger, like as a human, to the god of the sun. And I like that she sticks with it even though he's a piece of crap. And I think that just says a lot about her character and that she keeps trying and every time she uses that power, she gets burned.
Yeah.
But I don't know. She's just dedicated to that. And that, I mean, she even thought that vampires could be good enough to be part of her sect. I mean, that's
such a good person.
that's a good person right there, you know?
Yeah.
I like that a lot. My second character would be Luce as well, I think. Or Luce, whatever we're calling the beautiful little dog.
Again, we're physical readers,
Yeah,
not
we're
audiobook readers.
not
I
audio.
usually try to listen just so I can know, but yeah, I didn't this time. So
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. No
Yeah.
problem. I have two quotes from Misha's book, and I have a quote from Rain's book as well, or Raya's book. I'll start with Misha's book. So there's two of them there. One of them is, "It is injustice, Mish, that this is what you got when you asked for love." And that just broke my heart because really, when she is so dedicated to her god, and he just says he loves her but treats her like crap, and I like that Asar is pointing it out. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Okay. The other quote I'll say from the first book, and this one is about, it's kind of like in the same vector, but it's Rain talking to Aurea. And he says, "I've lived through some injustices in the last couple of centuries, seen some fucking travesties. But one of the biggest, Aurea, is that anyone taught you you should become anything other than exactly what you are." I like that one. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay, and so then my next quote is from the first book when Aurea and Rain are still kind of like fighting and they're not really into each other yet or openly into each other. Quote is, "You don't give an inch, do you?" My eyes flicked coldly up his body. "Do you, or is an inch all you have to offer?" Burn.
Burn.
Anyway.
Yes. So, do we have any theories about next book? Okay, my theory is obviously my hope that Asar gets free and saves his wife, or maybe Mish saves him. I don't, either one would be cool with me. Somehow they save each other and they get to be together. That's all that's my theory, and it's also my hope. So, I try to avoid spoilers, but I have seen some
Have you? Don't tell me. I don't
Not
want to know.
spoilers, but like reactions.
Oh.
And since we hate spoilers so much here at Abapar, I feel like they're spoilery. Not really though, because I don't know why they have those reactions. But I'm like, oh my gosh, what is it? Is it this?
Are they good
Anyway, I'll be
reactions,
fine.
as in we should be excited about these reactions?
Well, it could be, but I feel some emotional devastation on the horizon.
Oh
But maybe not.
no.
We'll see. I know. Okay, and she also just announced book, what will it be? Five?
5?
Yeah, book 5 in the series. And I've already forgotten the name because I was trying not to like learn too much about it because she did warn in there in her little blurb about it that there was going to be spoilers for Fallen, so I did not reach that. Or I did not read that, but I think I have.
Do we know it's going to be another POV, a different POV? So it'll be
Yes,
2, 2, and 2, probably.
it's another duet, and it's okay. So it's called The Lion and the Deathless Dark, and this is about the Bloodborne vampires. So it's going to be a characters from the Bloodborne kingdom. I don't know who.
I don't know if we met anyone from Bloodborne Kingdom that we've
Well,
taken a
is it
note of.
Septimus? No, nobody that we like besides. No, nobody that we like. Is it Septimus from Bloodborne?
He
I
might
don't
be.
like him though. Okay, but it comes out August 4th of 2026. So we have a whole year. But I think we're gonna meet the characters in this book.
All right.
Like, in I think they'll be like casually introduced at least. So we'll see.
Probably.
But yeah, so I guess that's all we have for our little review. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm looking forward to the next book though. Like I said, like you said, I really want Asar and Oreya back together. And my prediction is I have no idea what's gonna happen. But I hope they kick some god's butts. And I hope that
Yes.
Vincent helps them and he redeems himself fully. And I'm assuming at some point everyone's gonna come back together and gonna work together. But that's just my hope. I like a good
I
tie
have
knot.
yeah. I have seen some stuff about that too, but I won't say.
Yeah, don't tell
Since
me.
you
I don't
haven't
want to
seen it.
know.
See, Anna's not as active on social media, and it helps her out in this way.
Yeah, that's the only way it helps me out. Otherwise, I'm just lost in life.
I'm like, hey, did you hear about this? Anyways,
It's like, what? What are you talking about? So we're not gonna have a war game segment this episode, but we will have another episode coming out. Our next episode will be covering The Fallen and The Kiss of Dusk, which is the next book in the series. And if you're a little confused because you listened to Night and the Moth, we said that the next book would be Wake of the Wicked, which we'll get to eventually. But I'm kind of dragging my feet a little bit, so we'll get there.
yes, we are still going to cover In the Wake of the Wicked just later. This was just fit with our schedule.
Yes,
So
it did.
yeah, The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk is next. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. We are a baby podcast, so it would be so helpful if you would rate and review us on your podcast listening platform. You can also follow us on social media, a podcast of fantasy and romance on Instagram and YouTube, and a pod of fantasy and romance on TikTok. It's been epic. We'll see you next time.